Another live interview show with Become a Fearless Father. And today my guest is Kenny. Kenny, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I saw some stuff from you and I'm like, dude, this guy is so busy. I'm going to really enjoy picking your brain. And that's one special thing that we're going to talk about a little later as well. We're going to keep it as special things. So people that are listening right now are like, what's that special thing? I got to make sure I listen to this. It is going to be special. I watched it and I was like, is that real? Yeah, it is. That's awesome. So we're going to talk about that. But first of all, what I really liked when you answered the questions, like what can you really talk about? What can you share with the audience? You mentioned like how to be present while having just, really busy time with building up a business, right?
Sure.
And I've noticed actually the last couple of weeks, that's like one of the big things that our fellow entrepreneur dads are talking about. It's like, I'm so busy, and then I get so many things in my head. How can I make sure that I really connect with my kids, right? If you can share that with us, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. I love what you're doing. I mean, just the focus of this podcast and almost like a mission. It's an amazing thing. There's just to focus in on entrepreneurship, but just how big not just fathers but parents play a part in their child's life, and kind of segueing into the message today or the topic. It's running a business is incredibly burdensome. I don't think anybody quite realizes how much weight you carry when you run a business. And I always say, or recently I say, leadership can be very lonely at times when you bear that responsibility. And so, when you have people that depend on you, not only just your family, but, the lives of your staff and the clients, it's a lot of weight to bear. And so, when my wife and I kind of set off on this journey to start our company, Counsel Creative, it did come with a lot of again, just a lot of weight and a lot of things that needed to be done. But, it's really birthed in how can we be available to each other and to our children, our future children. I don't know what the percentage is, but we may be one of those rare couples that actually loves being with each other all day long. I mean, maybe a little break here and there, but we just genuinely enjoy each other's company, and our personality types support one another well. Nice. And so, my background, I won't get too deep into that, but it was through the agency world, the creative agency world, the corporate world. And so much of my time, this 9 to 5 that you had, I mean, it's great. You get to work, you get a paycheck, you get to go home and turn it off. But there was something like missing deep down inside. I wasn't able to get away and be available for my family, or even, when I say, how to be present for family, I think it's how you define it. So I believe it is the immediate family, like your spouse and your children and your parents, if that might be the case. But it's also, we consider our team at Counsel Creative a family. And even people, clients, we call them family. And even just people I've met along the way. I just struggled with being set in one place for 40 hours a week, and just being limited on how I can serve others in more than just that one capacity, And so, honestly, the numbers didn't make sense when we started business. We're doing well financially, but again, there just wasn't enough opportunity to invest in the family. And so despite the numbers, we felt that leading and that guiding and that nudge to say, this is what you need to do. And it's been incredible. So it's not without its challenges, but just since jumping into this world, we just have been able to create a schedule that works well for our team and our clients, but also each other. I don't miss doctor's appointments anymore, because it's not only for the children, but just to be there for my wife. I know it's really important to her. And we recently had a new baby. We have a 3-month-old baby girl, and just to be able to take some time away, it's really special. But I think the broader scope is, we serve not only our families but others. And the beautiful thing about creating a business is you have the opportunity to be available. And I think also too, one thing that I wanted to point out is we learned so much. And I think if we allow ourselves to learn and grow and listen to our family, it's amazing how that listening and that love that you share actually inspires you and helps you to do better in the role that you serve. So I'll give you one quick example. So because I get to work from home sometimes, and because I get to make a schedule that allows me to be home, I had an opportunity one day just to be in the floor playing with superheroes with my son. That's one thing that he plays pretty much every day. And so I thought the instructions were clear, but apparently I was doing it wrong. And he told me that the guy that I was, I guess, destroying, that he was a good guy, and the words that came out of his mouth were that he was probably 4 at the time, but he said, "I designed that for good." And those words, I was just like, what did you just say? And sometimes the simplicity of a child is the most beautiful way, or the most clear way you can define something. And so I sat on that for a few days, and I said, you know what, that's about the clearest way I can tell people what it is that we do. We were created for good. So we were designed for good, but even the things that we do for our clients, we're a design agency. So we design things to be aesthetically pleasing, to help companies see a return on investment, but also it's like morally good. And so, because we've been able to be available for our families, that mission statement that we live on today, came from my 4-year-old son. And so I think, it's not only important to strengthen your family, but I think it has an incredible reward in keeping you moving forward. Because I think when you just stay so focused in the grind and get so caught up in the responsibilities, you can burn out really quickly, and then you've impacted every aspect of your life. And so I think it's really important to be available.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So there were many things that I could pick out of that I really enjoyed and that were very valuable for the people. But the one thing, I always try to pick the one thing that might be overlooked. And that one thing right here is that, when you're present, your kids might, even without them noticing, or even without you noticing, but later on hit you in the head, come out with stuff like you said, right? Designed for good. Like this character I designed for good is like, wow, because that's actually what we should do in life, right? Design our life to do good. That's pretty much our purpose right there.
Absolutely.
Translate it back payroll, right?
Yeah, no. I wish I could put him on the payroll, but I guess there's laws against that. So.
Yeah. Well, don't pay him.
Same in love.
There's laws against that too. I know, but shoot, what do you want?
All
right. But yeah, that's beautiful, man. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody that's watching now or watching this in the replay, make sure you press that heart button and show Kenny some love. It's important. Make sure you share this with your friends, family, right? I mean, there's going to be some more golden nuggets shared in the next 20 minutes. So let's take advantage of that. Kenny, before we go on, share a little bit of your background story. Right. And because I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, congratulations on the newborn, of course.
Thank you. Yeah. So on the short introduction, my name's Kenny. I said that, my wife and I own a creative agency in Chattanooga, Tennessee, called Counsel Creative. I'm a proud father to 2. I mentioned that earlier, Benjamin, and Liesel is our youngest. She's 3 months old today, actually. So it's nice to have those little anniversaries in that first year. But so my background was actually in marketing. I'm actually come from a family of artists, but it's sculptors, sketch artists, painters. Honestly had no clue that you could have a professional career in the creative world. So I had little touch moments in my childhood. I won a t-shirt contest in elementary school, and I was a part of like a youth group that it was like a music competition, drama, and handbells randomly. And I was like, I'm definitely not going to play the handbells. So what can I do? And I think I saw photography and this thing called computer graphics that, intrigued me. And so the definition was anything that can be created online is considered computer graphics. And so I'm sure many people are sadly familiar with that great piece of software called Microsoft Paint. But that's essentially where I got my creative career started. Actually won an award in middle school, but anyway, I was kind of going down this pathway of music and marketing, and then got a phone call in college that really changed the course of my career. I had someone call me that I barely knew and said, "Can you design me a business card?" And for whatever reason, I said, "Sure." And then I got off the phone and I was like, "What in the world have I agreed to?" And but yeah, I figured out just how to make that possible. I got a bootleg version of Photoshop, and it's just been amazing to see how things have developed since. And so yeah, that's kind of a short snippet. I've been in the creative agency world, working in the corporate world. Wouldn't be here in front of you today if it wasn't for great mentors and leaders in my life that have invested and shown me the way. And it's a big portion of what we do. Not only do we want to counsel clients on good creative and creative solutions, but even young creatives that are just starting out. I used to be that person in their shoes, and we want to give back to them in any way that we can.
That's awesome. I love it. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. So the special thing, you mentioned it real quick already, but of course people didn't know what's the special thing that Klaas is talking about. Yeah. You founded this company together with your wife, and I'm working with you. Like you just said, it's good that you said that. Like, we like to spend time together with as much as we can. I'm like, well, that's good, because you pretty much are, right?
Right.
What are the struggles that go with that? Because so many dads, right? They're struggling to get that connection with their wife, and here are you making it work on not just one level, but on all levels that you can possibly imagine, right? So share with us what's that? I hate the word secret by now. What's your philosophy on that? Let's start with that.
I think, I wish if I could figure that secret out, I would be, I'd probably have a best-selling book in the New York Times. But
new business.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I should do that. But I think for us, we've been married for a good while, but I think it's just focusing in on initially why you fell in love in the first place. I think life and the burdens of life and responsibility and being a parent, there's a lot of things that's thrown at you that kind of limits your ability to focus specifically on your marriage. But I think, if we all are honest, there was something about our spouses that we loved incredibly early on. And I hope for most people that still exists. But I think for us, it's remembering that, our relationship was founded in friendship and in admiration of each other's gifts and different personality types. And I think for us, it's been that, my career has been specifically focusing on creative. My wife will tell you she's not creative at all, but just having that limited knowledge has been instrumental, because she is a lot closer to the markets that we serve than I am. We have things that, this is going to be a home run, and I show it to my wife. She's like, that's not going to work, and so it's just been really important to see where we're strong at, and also be bold enough to say, you've got a better insight on that, and be able to say, your opinion is really important and really valuable. But yeah, I don't know. The secret for us is just, again, being available to one another and being intentional about when we do get to step away from the office, taking walks during the day. I can't say enough how therapeutic walking is in general, but when you get to do that with your spouse, it's amazing just how much that nurtures that relationship. But starting a business was crazy. I won't get too into the details, but we had a family need that required a significant amount of money to fund, and it involved our entire family and our children. And again, we had a good income. Had some good income before we started Counsel Creative, and the numbers did not line up. So I was like, you want me to start a business and make less money to make more money? Like, it doesn't really add up. But we just had such a strong push and a feeling like this is what we were supposed to do, that we just follow that direction. And it's a struggle. I mean, it's, again, leadership can be very lonely at times, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it allows me to be with my family. It allows us to interact with clients on a way that, I think it's really supposed to be, just having personal relationship. And it's been a blessing. I learn new things every single day. Business ownership is like a puzzle. You just got to figure out how to put it together.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing to do this with your spouse. And actually, this room that we're in now is where we started the business. There's another desk over to the left, and we started here. We moved to the dining room of our house, and our first employee actually came to the dining room. And on the first day, my wife whispered in my ear, she's like, "Are we supposed to cook lunch for him today? Like, is that what you do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So now I think we're in our 4th or 5th office. Have an incredible team that really we couldn't do anything without them. And but it's just been cool to see, like, doing something with your spouse, starting in the ground level in your bedroom, and then just seeing how blessed we've been from the start. So
Still cooking lunch for everybody?
what was that?
Still cooking lunch for everybody?
You don't want me cooking specifically. I mean, I could probably throw together some spaghetti, but my wife is the brilliant one behind the oven. So she's the good one. I wouldn't have a staff if I was the one cooking. We'll just say that.
They all run for the hills.
That's right.
I like that honesty. So I ran a couple of extra questions down. What you mentioned, right? It's a struggle. There's fear, right? Because as you said, you go from, having certainty. Okay, this is what I'm going to make every month, and it's this much, to like, okay, there's no more certainty, and it's hopefully going to be this much, which is actually less than what I'm going to make. What we think is certainty, right? How do you deal with that? What did you do to make that leap, to step in that uncomfort zone, as they say, and make it work?
That's a great question. I think for me, it was learning to trust what we felt as a calling. I mean, there's been plenty of times in my life where I felt like I had a great idea, and the road, I guess where it ended wasn't what it wasn't I was anticipating it to be. But I just think it's just trusting in that calling and having faith. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but we just felt so impressed to do it. I have a lot of background in the agency world, and I was just amazed at how people showed so much disrespect for the clients that they worked with, and they tried to push a lot of services on clients that they didn't need just so they can make the highest dollar. And I was like, surely we can be good people and do good things and survive as a business, and that's really, it was providing for our family in radical ways, and then doing a lot of good for the people that we serve. And that's what pushed us. And so, I mean, even to this day, I mean, there's days where the future is really difficult to see how it works out, but we somehow we're always provided for. And I think any day that we are fighting for good, then it's worth it. Sometimes I feel a little bit like you have a target on your back when you're fighting for the good things in this world. But we just have been incredibly blessed. Doors continue to open, and that's just how we're going to continue to operate as long as we're in business.
Love it. I call it serving from the heart.
That's right.
Instead of what a lot of people do is serving from the pocket.
That's right.
I'm going to serve you, but then I know you're going to pay me lots of money, right?
Right. That's right.
I like that. I like that. Definitely resonating with the story, because that's how I went. I just gave away a full month of coaching to somebody just because of her generosity, right?
Yeah.
I highly believe in that. If people are generous in this world, if people serve from the heart, everybody that serves from the heart as well should come together and help that person as much as they can. Because if we all do that, well, you've seen that, right? You just shared that, like, your business is building, you treat everybody as family. I mean, I got reached out by your assistant asking me, like, hey, Kenny's got a great story, really love to be in. And she was absolutely right. So I had to trust in her, but she's absolutely right. So I appreciate that. So let me ask you this, because a lot of people are, give me 1 second. He doesn't want to be with his brother in the other room. So he's right behind me playing with his superheroes. I
love
it. You mentioned, like, you got to have faith, right? You got to believe in your calling, right? You got to now. Absolutely, you're right. But there's a step before that, right? You got to find your calling,
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people struggle. Also because they're very happy at where they at, so they don't start looking really like, okay, what's my calling?
Right.
Can you share like how did you find your calling?
That's a big question and a great question. I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there that find that calling sooner than I did, because of my unique pathway into creative, so I went to school for marketing and then got a random phone call, and then my design career kind of kicked off from there. But I mean, for years, I kept thinking, when they find out that I'm not a designer, I'm going to lose my job. I kind of felt like a fraud for a long time. And, it wasn't until, more people invested in my life and, honestly, like winning a few awards, that I realized, what, maybe this is a gift that I was given. And I finally started to recognize, like, hey, this is a portion of my calling. But then there were also a period of years where, I was working for corporate companies, great companies, but, after a year or 2 years in, I just felt lost, and just I felt like that I was given this gift of creative, but I just felt lost and lacking that true purpose. And I think that's when, I realized, I had been on this journey, and that feeling of loss was actually what propelled me into starting Counsel Creative. But I think for me, it was just like realizing that I've been given the gift of creative, and then also I think just taking that feeling of lost and a passion for serving other creatives. And I realized that, I was crafted to do the creative, but I was also crafted to do this like independently. I wouldn't trade the pathway, because I learned a lot of great things that I wanted to emulate when we started our business, and a lot of things that I didn't. So I think for people, and for me specifically, it's like being aware of those feelings in life. And I'm a big believer that we're shown things throughout our life that are give us those little indications that we're on track and we're hitting the right pathway. I mean, again, when I was in elementary school, I was winning a t-shirt contest, and in middle school, I won a design conference award, and just little things. But I mean, it wasn't until beyond college that I realized, hey, those little things were pointing me in this direction. I had no clue. And so I think people just need to be attentive to those little beacons of light that pop up, and just explore those a little bit, and just figure out, why have I found some success and favor in these areas, and just be open to be radical. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to start a business. Sometimes the figures say you're going to make less money, and you might, but if you align yourself with your purpose, then all the other stuff will work out later on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. So it's looking at your past, right? What have you done? What have you really loved doing? Listening to that, which you've done. Then you came in the corporate world doing what you love, but finding out like, okay, I love what I do, but just the whole world and the setup is not working for me. Your heart speaks to you, and then you decide to go where your heart's taking you, and having faith, going full in. I love it. I love it. I hope people pick up on that, and because it's so important. Right, we feel empty, and now you can feel that from sharing your stories. It's like there's energy there, there's passion, right? Which in the end, which is what we all want, right? So real quick before we end this, can you share like your biggest? I call it golden nugget. Can you share your biggest golden nugget that you would like to share with our fellow entrepreneur dads before we sign off on this live interview?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would just say, I guess there's been a lot of I don't know. I think when you turn on the news, no matter what country you're in, we're just reminded of a lot of hard times. People face a lot of hard times, and I think with our family, again, I won't get into the specifics, but we've been in probably a 4 or 5 year season that's been incredibly hard, and and then we go and at that same time decide, hey, let's start a business during this season too. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I would just say that despite all the hard times, and despite the world that we live in reminding us of all the things that are going wrong, it's just to appreciate every day that we get. Let tomorrow worry about tomorrow. But when it comes to our families, we're never going to get this day back, and truly, we're not promised tomorrow. So I would just say in business, do good and serve and serve others, you know, and the money will work itself out. I've always found in my life that if I focus on good and serving people in big ways, then the money works itself out. And I would say with family is again, just find, like discover with your spouse, discover those things that drew you together in the first place, and hold those close to your heart. And yeah, I mean, like we know our kiddos, they hear the saying, like they grow in a blink of an eye, and it's true. And I think when we can find ways to do good on the work front, but also do good in the family front, it all works in union together. And I think that's what I can share. That's firsthand for me.
Love it. Integrated life, absolutely. And yes, you know, making sure that every single day you live fully, right? And don't worry about tomorrow. I mean, when you mentioned it, I immediately started thinking of Kobe Bryant, man. That's right. His daughter in the helicopter, they're no longer here. It's like, wow, man, everybody, if you're listening right now, man, hug your kids, have fun with them, be present.
Absolutely.
Work, I mean, it's going to be there tomorrow. You, who knows, man? Who knows? Right?
Yeah, I think, and this is maybe the last point, but on Kobe, you know, the last message that I think is Twitter, I think the night before, LeBron James had just beat his like scoring record, you know, and so Kobe the night before was just like congratulating him, but his words were really special. It was, you know, congratulatory, but it was also saying continue to carry that torch so that you can, like I've almost passed it to you, you can pass it on to the person behind you. And I think that's so applicable to us, because I'm not promised tomorrow. How can we live today that we influence the next generation coming behind us to do good? And I think that's something, you know, I can't believe that we've lost, you know, a great legend in our country, and also just those precious children and their families. But I think if we can be left with one thing, is to appreciate every second that we get and leave a legacy for good.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. So, Kenny, for those that still have questions or want to follow you, get in contact with you, whatever it is, right? What's the best way of doing this?
Absolutely. Well, we love building our family. So I would say that probably the easiest way is to visit us at counselcreative.com, and that's COUNSEL creative.com. Yeah, and we're on all the social platforms. So if you want to see the daily stuff, you know, come over to Instagram at Counsel Creative. And yeah, we love building relationships, and we love to meet new people and just continue to expand that family.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kenny. So for everybody, there's 3 links in the description. Check it out. You can connect with him through LinkedIn. You can watch a video, which I highly recommend. It's a short video, but it's really, really beautiful. The message that's shared in there, and talking about your business. And what else did I put in there? I can't remember. Yeah, of course, the website. All right. So, Kenny, thank you so much again for being on. Really appreciate it. Everybody else, thank you for watching. Again, make sure you press that heart button, share some love for Kenny, and so many people can share this. I mean, there's some huge golden nuggets, some very important messages that everybody needs to hear and needs to act on. Listening here and writing stuff down doesn't do us any good, and definitely not you if you don't take action on what's been said and what's resonated with you immediately. All right. So everybody, thank you so much. Have an amazing day, and we will talk to each other again very soon on the next live interview. Take care.